In this video, we're going to show you how to install a fog light kit on your Toyota Tacoma. Using a 10mm socket, loosen the negative terminal for the battery. Remove the negative battery terminal. Put this off to the side where it won't make contact with the negative terminal. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to remove the two front bolts for the inner fender liner. We're going to pull the front bumper slightly down and pull down on our fender liner. Pull this liner back to give you access to the fog light. We're going to pop the covers out of the fog light area. To do this, we're going to press on this tab right here. Once you push forward, you're able to remove the fog light cover out of the front. Do the same thing on the other side. Pop the cover forward and remove it from the bumper. We're going to install the fog light into place. These tabs on either side are going to hook into the brackets on either side. And this plastic tab on the bottom is going to drop into this circle. Line the light up. Push it straight in. And repeat the same process on the other side. In our kit, we're going to have a button, we're going to have an extension cable, and then we're going to have the main harness. We're going to open this harness up. Here we have our relay and our fuse. This will be mounted by the battery. Working our way down, we have our positive cable. This will get hooked to the positive cable on the battery. Here we have a negative. This will get hooked to a negative terminal. Continuing down our harness, we have our first fog light connector. This is going to be a short cord, so this is going to travel to the driver's side fog light. Follow the next one down, and we have another fog light connector. This one will be run over to the passenger side. We have all of the connections that will be hooked up behind our dash. Here we have the harness that will get run into the car. This will go to a fuse. This one will be grounded out, and this connector goes to our switch. For right now, we can unplug this harness just so we don't have to work around it. Just pull it straight apart, put it off to the side. You can pair the button with it now if you'd like. We're going to start to get our harness laid out. I have the two fog light connectors, and then I have everything else kind of bunched up. We're going to put that off to the side. We're going to start with the passenger. We're going to pull it up over this top radiator cover. And then we're going to run this down by the headlight. There's a little gap next to the headlight, and we're going to push this down towards the fog light. We're going to run the driver's side the same as we ran the passenger side. Go beside the headlight right here and push it down towards the fog light. Connect the fog light connectors on either side. Push until you hear a click. If you don't, give it a pull. Make sure it's locked on. Using a nut and a bolt or a cable tie with a Christmas tree clip on the back of it, we're going to secure our relay to the front radiator support. I'm going to pull my relay down the front right here. I'm going to attach it right to the front radiator support. Right now we're just trying to get a good place for everything, and then we can go back and clean up all of our wires after. Pull the cover off of the positive terminal using a 10mm wrench. We're going to take the nut off of the positive terminal. Fully remove the nut. Install our cable. Reinstall the nut. Get the terminal nice and snug. Install the cover. We're going to pull our ground cable around the battery. We're going to ground it right here. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to loosen the bolt. I'm going to sneak our terminal under the bolt and snug it down. We're going to route the wire that goes into the car right along the hood latch cable. We're going to route it behind this bracket. Just like that. Feed it all the way through. And we're just going to follow that hood latch cable all the way back to the firewall, routing our cable right alongside of it. We're going to go under the ground, behind the junction box. There's a clip right on the side behind this battery that you can drop the cable into. We're going to go through this harness clamp right here, pulling our wire back, and we can let it dangle here, and now we'll go into the car and find all of our positions. We're going to remove the dead pedal, grab the top, pull straight out. These white clips will just spin off, unscrew them from the studs. We'll install them back into the dead pedal. We're going to unscrew the plastic screw for this side piece. Remove the screw. Looking at the bottom sill piece, we're going to grab the inside and pull up. Pull straight up until the first two clips pop and you have some movement. We're going to grab this side trim piece and pull straight towards us. Lift it slightly up and out of the way, removing the trim piece. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to remove the bolt for the dash. Remove the trim piece for the e-brake. Going to get under the panel, pop the trim piece out. There's a trim cover right here. We're going to open that with our screwdriver. Under there will be a 10mm bolt. Remove the bolt. Pull straight out. And we're going to drop this trim piece down, remove all the connectors for the buttons. We're going to push on the tabs and release the connectors. That one was on my pointer finger. That one was back to my thumb. Remove the plastic stay using a flat blade screwdriver off of the trim piece. Remove the connector for the TPMS button. Pull that harness to the side. Push on the plastic tab and slide back, removing the hood release from the trim panel. Put the trim panel off to the side. We're going to use an old coat hanger that we cut up, and we're going to go right through the grommet We're going to push through all the way to the other side. We're going to attach our wire to our coat hanger. We're going to use some electrical tape and tape it down. You want to tape all the way over the end so it has a slight chamfer so it can easily make it through the grommet. Back in the car, we're going to pull our harness through. There it is. With our wire in the car, we're going to remove the tape. You can use a knife to cut this back. Just be very careful not to cut the wire. Now we have the end of our wire in the car. We're going to find a place to ground out and power our button. We're going to pull this 7.5 amp fuse. This is for our accessory power. This is what we're going to use to power our button. There's a few other methods to do this. There's little jumpers you can get to add a fuse. In our case, we don't have one of those. So what we're going to be doing is wrapping our wire around the fuse and then reinstalling it. We're going to find a good place to put our ground wire. You want a place where it's all metal, unpainted. Right under this bolt looks pretty good. I'm going to use a 10mm socket and remove the bolt. Install the bolt through our ground wire and reinstall. And then we can take the female end of our extension and plug it into the wire we pulled through the grommet. With all of our wiring complete, let's go to the front, connect the battery, and test the system before we put it all back together. Install the negative battery cable. Snug it down. We're going to put our key in the ignition and turn it to the on position. When we turn it to the on position, you can see the LED on the button lights up. Give the button a press. You'll hear the relay activate, and you should see your fog lights turn on. Once you know the system is working well, we can remove our key. We'll disconnect our negative battery cable one last time. We'll put everything together. Disconnect the negative battery cable using a 10mm socket or wrench. Put it off to the side where it won't make contact. A good place to mount your switch would be through this door right here. On the back side, you're able to pop it out by pushing on these tabs. Push on the tabs and push forward and remove the small trim piece. You can then take this and cut a hole in the back just big enough to fit the switch, and then install the switch through this trim. If you do have an open one on these buttons where we don't, it's the same procedure, except the pins are in the back on the top and bottom. You'll push on these two tabs, top and bottom, and push the switch through. As an example, we're going to remove this middle switch and install our fog light switch into it. Use a flat blade screwdriver and push on the top and bottom tabs and pull the switch out. Remove the connector to our switch. Install the switch through the front of the panel. Lock it into place. And then install the connector on the back side. Install the connectors for all of our switches. Install the plastic stay onto the trim panel. And install the connector for the TPMS button. Install all of the connectors. This one is for the clutch switch that we removed to put in our fog light switch. Push until you hear a click on all of the connectors. If you don't, give them a pull. Make sure they're locked on. Install the hood latch cable into the trim piece. Make sure it locks into place. Push the trim piece up into position for all of the clips and snap it into place. As you're going through this reinstallation, clean up all of your wires, tuck them out of the way, and make sure they're not on any chafe points where they might break. Install the 10mm bolts on either side of the kick plate. This is the one located under that trim door. Install the trim piece around the e-brake. Push it into place, make sure it snaps in. This sill piece snapped back into place for us, so we're just going to lift it back up again, popping those two first clips. Install this side trim piece. It'll set into place. And there's two clips on the front that'll snap in. And there's one stud in the back that it will grab. Once you have the trim piece installed, we're going to push down on this sill, snap it back into place. We're going to install our small plastic fastener. We can just push this into place this time. Push it all the way on. Take those white clips, install them into the back of the dead pedal. These white clips are going to correspond to these studs. Line them up and push straight in, snapping it into place. Install the screw. There's one more right here. Get the screw started. Snug them down. Do the same thing on the other side. As we continue back on this harness, continue cleaning up all of your wires. We'll install our negative battery cable. Snug the terminal down. Remove the film off of both fog lights, and you're good to go.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.